across the globe, Ben Norris, Rob McKnight, and David Robinson.
Ben, Rob and Robbo. News, reviews, entertainment too. It's the Ben, Rob and Robbo. Ben, Rob and Robbo. Ben, Rob and Robbo Show.
Welcome to the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. Here's Rob McKnight.
Well, not exactly there, I've got to tell you. Hello there and welcome to a very special and very different episode of the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. We finally got rid of Rob and I'm hosting. Woohoo! So I've got to say to my wonderful co-host, Ben, welcome to the Ben and Robbo Show.
Yay! I'm not even here.
No.
I think you can only kind of see me.
No, of course
There
we
we
can.
go.
There we go. Looking good, my friend. Very, very good. Now, the reason that this is happening is because our wonderful behind-the-scenes person, our switcher, Amanda McKnight, she's in the hospital. She's going to be okay, but we wish her all the best and the thoughts and prayers and love. So she is there now, and I'm sure she's watching. She would never miss an episode, I'm sure. But never fear for all of those fans. Sorry, I said plural there. For that fan of Rob, he is still with us. We're going to cross live to him now. Rob, good afternoon to you. Where are you coming to us from?
Well, Robbo, if you must know, I'm right here next to you.
Sorry, I tried to block it out there, Ben. Ben, you consider yourself lucky that you're down in our Melbourne studios there because you're not right next to this fella. I've got to tell you that for free.
Well, I'm switching the show with Amanda in hospital, about to get surgery. So, yeah, scary stuff.
We do love and adore her, and we send all of our thoughts, prayers, and love to the wonderful Amanda McKnight. So bear with us today because we're both in kind of new positions here, but it's still going to be a fantastic show. Coming up, we're going to be talking to the wonderful Bruno. We're going to look through the world, or his eyes, or whatever Rob says. He always loves saying that he looks at the world through Bruno's eye. It doesn't make sense. We're going to be talking to him. We'll also be seeing a milking of a snake. If you think you know what that means, think again. It's not the same. I can promise you that. But very excitingly, this is the start of a very new series now on Wednesday, and that is that we have a very special guest. Let's have a look at who it is now.
She is the global television news anchor and broadcast journalist who has worked for media in Hong Kong, the UK, and Australia. She has anchored for CNN, interviewed world-famous names like Bill Clinton, Rihanna, and the Dalai Lama, and won many accolades along the way. Now, Anjali Rao is set to star as the newest housewife in The Real Housewives of Melbourne.
And let's welcome Anjali Rao right now. Anjali, it's wonderful to see you again. Thank you for being here on the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show.
And the whole Ben, Rob and Robbo and Rao show is so catchy. That's catchier than COVID. Seriously, that's got to happen.
Can I just make the point, because this is thrilling me no end, that Robbo stuffed up the audio and he's now finding out how hard it is.
I do apologise. Anjali Rao, I do apologise. But let's move on with the show. And let's talk about your brilliant career for a moment. We saw in that package there that you have interviewed some truly fascinating people. Who has stood out to you the most?
Oh, it'd be pretty difficult to go past the Dalai Lama, who invited me over to his gaff and then hung out with me for the entire day.
You're going to have to ad-lib over
it was,
I'll put the COVID
it was,
graphic up.
Fantastic. That was really special. Mm-hmm. And, oh, God, I loved, Gwyneth Paltrow and Rihanna and people like that. I also loved Kobe Bryant. We got on fantastically. And, it's just so sad that he's no longer with us. Mm-hmm. And also, in a more timely fashion, I loved Kanye West.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, we adored each other.
Oh, well, that's wonderful, and we wish him all the best. Anjali, obviously, we've asked you that looking back on your career, but surely the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show now is at the top of that list?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, my God. I have arrived. This is the pinnacle, boys.
I wouldn't say that too much. We also saw there that we will be seeing you as one of the Real Housewives of Melbourne. How are you getting on with the other ladies?
Well, we had started filming, and well, I had anyway. I'd already started filming with Gamble, and so we get on really well at the moment. I can't say what's going to happen. And my new housewives, Cherry and Kyla, we are great. We adore each other, and we check in on each other as much as we possibly can. But the thing is that we'd all be done and dusted by now. Season 5 would be in the bag. But of course, none of us can hang out because we're all down here in Victoria.
Bloody Victoria. That's right. Anjali, really quickly,
Victoria.
Is Petit Fleur, is she still on the show, Ben?
Oh, I would say
No.
Petit Fleur is not doing the show. However, I must admit I was there at the launch first time I met Anjali. So lovely to see you again. But
Me too.
there had been plenty of rumours and plenty of fans saying that they want her back on the show. Look, I think Petit Fleur would have to be some of the maddest, craziest television going around. So I think it would be remiss of them to not have her come in and will at least give you a run for your money.
She wouldn't be giving me a run for my money. Trust me.
Oh, you'd be
on
giving
that.
her. Oh, yeah. This is
Absolutely.
facilitating a massive dream for me because I have to say, I absolutely love the Real Housewives of Melbourne. So just the fact that we're sitting here like this, having this kind of a conversation is making me think that maybe Rob and Robbo and I are now officially on the Real Housewives of Melbourne.
Well, I've got to quickly say, I think if Petit Fleur was still on the show, she wouldn't like me. I met her at an event once in Melbourne, and I didn't know who she was. So we were in a little circle, and I said, "Oh, what do you do?" Because I thought she was in publicity. She very quickly stopped the conversation with me. Even did this to me. She went, "I'm a Real Housewife of Melbourne," and then turned away like that. And I thought,
How could you?
yeah, I felt so bad. I did. Well, look, Anjali, we are really excited to have you on our fourth panelist, and can't wait to hear what you've got to say on our hot topics. Let's get straight into them right now. Well, it would appear that the relationship between the Victoria and federal governments is becoming increasingly strained. As Victoria continues to grapple with its second COVID wave, questions are now being asked about its response to aged care facilities and how they've handled the crisis. The state has only just suspended elective surgeries after intervention from the Prime Minister, and Premier Daniel Andrews insists his government wasn't dragging its feet about the decision. Anjali, as you mentioned, you are in Melbourne. It's a bit of a tit-for-tat kind of idea. The Vics thought it was up to the feds to intervene. Why can't governments just get on with it, do you think?
I know. Why can't they all just be, kumbaya about things like this? And that's absolutely, Robbo, what the greatest argument here should be. It's, how federal and state governments cooperate rather than sticking to these contradictory approaches to issues, which will inevitably result in each side throwing each other under the bus when those problems arise. And in this particular situation, I think the buckling is really bordering on the obscene, because the fault lies absolutely with both of them. And honestly, what did they think would happen? The aged care sector, at the best of times, is, a complete gibbering wreck. So what did they think? That's why we're having a Royal Commission.
Yeah.
And today it was really interesting to see the Prime Minister come out and say, we support Victoria, because there's been no doubt in my mind that we've been seeing politics, and I'll just switch to myself instead of Robbo. You've got to bear with me, everyone. I'm switching and trying to talk. Oh, man, please come back safe and sound. I miss you so much. But I will say... that it's interesting the PM's come out, because there's a lot of articles around today about this divide, and we actually saw some stories out yesterday where they were saying, well, you can't blame the federal government about the elective surgery. The federal government was telling Dan Andrews for days and days elective surgery had to stop. There really seems in some ways to be throwing the Victorians under the bus, and that's why I think the PM came out so strongly today, trying to show support for the Andrews government, because the worst thing that voters want to see right now, isn't it, that this is becoming politicised?
Absolutely. It's, sort of, while this is all happening and we're all in such a state of crisis, that you're right. The absolute last thing that anybody wants to see is this sort of, vulgarity of, premiers and our head of state just like going at each other. But we saw what happened in Victoria in enforcing the quarantine rules and the contact tracing and even testing. and Dan Andrews here, even admitting that he wouldn't put his own mother in one of these institutions. Doesn't that just say it all? It's like, well, obviously you knew. So it's hard to see either side as really covering themselves in glory here.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's almost as if we've had to have this to kind of shine a light on how bad things are in aged care. Ben, I'm going to go to you. Do you think it's ever possible for politicians from either side of the aisle, to use an American term, to ever get along? Isn't this the time that they should?
Well, I think this is just Australian politics. And funny that you mention this, because my partner said to me this morning, once the blame game started happening, he was like, you're in the wrong field. You should be a politician. You love pushing the blame onto other people. So look, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it because, you know, when anything goes wrong with me, I'm always so quick to blame Ben, and maybe he should be a politician too because he loves to blame me back. But look, what I would like to say is I'll just shove it around. Just enjoy the blame being passed around. But what I would like to say though is, isn't it really disconcerting when you see politicians doing this? And I must admit, I think coming out on top here is Scott Morrison. Like, I think Scott Morrison came out on top looking quite good. And I think Dan probably shouldn't have done, you know, what he said. I mean, he shouldn't have said what he said, but, you know, hindsight's a beautiful thing, especially in politics.
That's right, Ben. It'll be interesting story to keep watching. Let's move on now and to Sydney. And dramatic video has been released showing the moment an elderly driver lost control of his car. It happened at lunchtime yesterday in the suburb of Eastwood. The car was filmed crashing into a restaurant, bollards and a taxi. Here's an update from 9 News.
Miraculously, no one has been injured after a car ploughed into a restaurant, then a taxi and a bin here at Eastwood at lunchtime. Mobile phone vision shows the moment a man driving a Honda CR-V ploughs into the Eastwood seafood restaurant and then later a taxi. Other footage shows firefighters yelling at people to get back, one carrying a woman away in the panic.
Driving through and then crash again 4 times.
4 times?
Yeah.
I was so scared that it might smash into the store or something.
An ambulance was called, but no one was injured except for the driver who suffered minor injuries. It's understood the man driving the car was aged in his 80s, and while Ride Police are looking into all the circumstances, they are investigating whether the man had suffered a medical episode.
Well, thankfully no one, including the driver, who is in his 80s, was seriously injured. He recorded a negative breath test at the scene. Now, in New South Wales, when a driver turns 75, they must have a yearly medical assessment to keep their licence. So it got us thinking, should there be an age limit on the licence? Ben, your thoughts. Should there be that age limit, or should the medical assessments be enough?
I think that the age limit does need to come down. I think we should be continuously testing our drivers. I think being someone who lives in a suburb of Melbourne, where there is a lot of elderly people driving, I do see a lot of really, really scary circumstances unfolding. And it's always, when you go to drive past them, someone who looks like Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's. And I feel really bad because... That's kind of a bit mean of me, but every single time I see something really bad in the suburb of Toorak, I always drive past and I'm like, I'm like, they really shouldn't be driving because it's unsafe. So look, to cut a long story short, yes, we should keep making sure that people are eligible to be behind the wheel.
But Anjali, I want to ask you, obviously we all love our independence, and especially as you get older, you start to lose kind of faculties, and, you know, you might be a bit forgetful, or you might have to move into an aged care home or an aged care facility. Is it tough for older people to give up that right, but should we force them?
Sure, it would be. Of course, that would be difficult. But, you know, hey, look, I only got my P plates when I was 39. I felt like an elderly driver even then.
You get 39, but you're only 21. Yeah. I don't understand them. I can't work out the maths. The maths.
If nobody had said that, I would have. I mean,
he's got the wrong plumbing for you, Robbo. Stop flirting with her.
Can't help it.
No, don't. You know, with this particular incident, though, I think, Robbo, we are seeing more and more instances, like it. And hey, Prince Philip, I'm looking at you.
Yeah,
But,
that's right.
when we age, our sight, our hearing, our cognitive ability is impacted. And if you can't admit that to yourself, then that's a problem anyway. But yes, of course, you'd feel, upset about losing your license. I'm not sure that you could even make the case for a blanket, okay, you're 75, so hand over your license, because everybody does age differently. Some are more sprightly than others, and some are, already 1 foot in the grave. You can't tell. Plus, anyway, which government would have the balls to enforce that in the first place? So I'm actually all for retesting at a specific age,
Well,
or at least making it that licenses have to be renewed more frequently.
Yes, Anjali, very good point. What we're going to do now is we're lucky enough to have a very elderly driver join us right now from on location. What's it like, Rob, when you can't drive? I've been in a car with you before, and it's pretty rough. In fact, in some ways, I'd like to be in the car of this 80-year-old as opposed to you. But, Rob, you need to talk. Your thoughts?
I don't just need to talk. I think I would like to say, Robbo, that you've been very lucky to be in a car with me. So thank you, lucky stars, and you've survived. What I would like to see, I will say, is the idea of retesting everybody. I think there are so many idiots on the road that actually can't drive, and being a slow driver is not being a good driver. Let me just make that point clear. I find a lot of slow drivers cause a lot of issues on the road because they actually... What are you laughing at, Ben?
Sorry, I just thought, I was about to say thanks, Karen, because you sound like
No, but it's true. Because a lot of other drivers get frustrated.
Say that everyone should be
and I think we give licenses out too easily. We think that being able to drive is everyone's right. And seriously, I sometimes think it's like cutting out a license off a cereal crisp box, because I see some people who literally can't drive, and what the worst drivers are actually the ones that will do 60 in an 80 zone and then do 100. No, I'm doing 60 in an 80 zone and then 80 in a 60 zone. And it's like, as someone who tries to obey the speed limit because I've had way too many fines, it really does annoy me. I say everybody should be retested every 5 years. And we should also instigate, when you first get your driving license, we should have to do those courses like they do in the US.
Who's going to pay for that, Rob?
Well, the government and you. You should have to pay to get your license renewed. We do that anyway. As part of our license renewal, we pay for it, Robbo.
So you're happy to see the license kind of increase. License fees, I think, are already exorbitant for the fact that they're just laminating a piece of paper with
Well, the registration renewals are very expensive simply because of the fact that state governments take a big levy. You look at New South Wales, the state government levy on those green slips are just astronomical. So it's not actually the license renewal that costs you a lot of money, it's the green slips that come with that. Sorry to use facts.
No, we're not used to that. That's why we all stopped. I think that's why we couldn't
Anjali,
talk
do you want to join me for a conversation about the Real Housewives of Melbourne for a good 2 hours? Because we could let these
I would love that.
just nut it out.
I would love that.
Yeah.
They can just bang on about green slips or whatever.
Look, I've got to be honest.
What are we here for?
I didn't understand half of what he was saying. So let's really quickly move on. Now, a little bit of showbiz. Now, just a couple of hours ago, Bachelorette and Bachelor in Paradise star Jamie Doran announced his decision to sue Network 10 and Warner Brothers Australia. In an Instagram post, he said, "After lengthy consideration, I've decided to begin legal proceedings against Network 10 and Warner Brothers Australia. I'm not going to comment on this any further for the time being." Now, while he didn't specify what the legal accusations would involve, it can be assumed that his portrayal as a, quote, stage 5 clinger and the editing of the show to make him seem a little unusual was the motivation behind this decision. Ben, you've been on a reality TV show before. Should people know before going into these shows that they're going to be edited for a certain angle?
Look, I don't necessarily know whether or not any reality television contestant's ever going to be that thrilled knowing how they're going to be portrayed, because reality television contestants are narcissistic wannabes that are trying to attach themselves to fame. Sorry, Anjali, I know you're about to be on a show. That's not a job description. But I was just going to say...
Thank you. Thank you very much.
No, I think I look from my own experience of being on, Big Brother, and it's the only thing I can go to. So thanks, trolls, for coming for me later today when you say that I can only talk about Big Brother. But I will say this. Everyone I saw on my series of that show was edited and portrayed accurately, and 90% of them said they were edited badly. So I think that what happens with reality television contestants is, it's like, do you remember on Australian Idol where singers would come up and sing really badly, and Marsha Hines would be like, "And hey, darling, who told you could sing?" And they'd be like, "My mum did." And Marsha would be like, "Listen, darling, you can't sing, but I'm sure there's something better that you can do." And that is because so many of us have a really strong disconnect with our own brand and the way that we come across, and it can be really daunting. So what I would like to say to a lot of reality TV contestants is, don't blame the editing. Maybe have a look a little bit more internally with how and who you are, and maybe get a little bit more connected to that.
Well, Anjali, Ben pointed out there, and we're very excited to know that you're going to be on The Real Housewives of Melbourne. You've worked in television for so long, you've had a wonderful career, but you would surely know the power of editing. Did that worry you when you thought, I'm going to sign up for this?
Yes. What idiot wouldn't be worried about it? I mean, seriously, when you look up, should reality stars know they're going to be edited in a certain way? The very first article number 1 that comes up is entitled 16 Secrets That Reality TV Producers Won't Tell You. It's right there. It's the first article.
Yeah.
I should actually probably read that before I start Housewives.
But it is an ongoing issue. Sorry, Anjali.
Yeah, no, not at all. It's just, you're right though, Robert. So yeah, look, I've signed a lot of TV contracts in my time since, starting my TV career at 22 years old. So, at least 4 years. And it's
right.
always in there that once you put yourself on camera, then that becomes the property of the network. And of course, they're going to edit you however they want. Reality show contracts do specify that producers and editors have the final say. They can edit you however they want. It's in the contract, explicitly stated. So a lot of it is down to the way that you choose to portray yourself. But obviously, you're going to get more airtime the more sort of crazy and out there you are. So I'm not sure what this guy went into reality TV for in the first place then. If you're not happy with that, but people are talking about you, surely that's the reason.
He didn't understand his brand. I think that's the biggest problem. And I just want to run this by Rob and Robbo, who've been working with me for the last 6 months. On reality television, I was portrayed as an opinionated, prickly character that's sometimes funny, but can be a bit of a bitch. Thoughts?
Sounds about right to me. Ben, the thing that gets me... Yeah. No, that's why you're here. The thing that gets me
I think that's important.
This year on Big Brother, we've met a lot of the contestants, and a lot of them have said, the edit was brutal. People were shown in a bad light. But I agree with you. You have to act a certain way, and we know the edit can be manipulated. We know a reaction shot to something someone said could have been 2 weeks before. We know all that part. But ultimately, if you've said and done something, they can't change that. And we look at Dan, who... was on this season of Big Brother, who is going through a big identity issue at the moment behind the scenes because he hasn't been able to cope with the fact that he got called out for the way he acted in the house. And he's struggled with the social media backlash because of that. But is that down to editing? Everyone in the house says, Dan's a good bloke. But what they weren't seeing is what people do when you're away from them. Yes, I'm mates with Robbo. I can actually touch him on the shoulder here. But
lucky you.
He doesn't know what I will go and say behind his back. Like when I'm talking to you, Ben. So, the thing is with Big Brother, the cameras show all that. And that's why Dan was shown to not be a great bloke.
No, that's the biggest load of crap ever. Sorry, but when it comes to that season of Big Brother, they barely showed anyone's personality at all.
But he still did the things that he did, Ben. He wasn't shown...
I can tell you... I could edit you in particular because we do show light and shade, and these are still qualities. But Dan's sense of humour was never fully articulated. He is sort of a very different. His sense of humour is a bit. What's it called? Where you'd Anjali, help me out. You know, self-deprecating. Sorry, I was just going to say a little bit self-deprecating in a way.
I was going to say before we said it.
But we saw that
thank
then.
you.
We saw that, and it didn't fly. You know, the moments when he was saying, "If you come after me, you're going to get me first time." You're now saying, "Oh no, he was just joking." The cameras don't change tone. That's the way it came across.
Everyone who was a part of working on that show, every single housemate that was in that show will tell you that in the backyard when Dan said that, it was a jovial comment. He was actually being quite silly. And everyone that was in the show said that. Now, had he not have, in that jovial way, said, hey, by the way, you know, if you're going to come for me, make sure you get it right, or whatever he said. I can't remember.
Didn't say it like that.
You know, okay, well, how did he... Anyway,
he said,
look, I think...
I'm warning you, if you come for me next time, you better get me. You only get one chance. That's how he delivered that line.
I think
You
different reality shows...
would actually need to watch it with you two around.
Look, I think when it comes down to that show...
I know you're very friendly with this guy, but the simple fact
it's got nothing to do with it. It's got nothing to do with the fact.
But you've just said, you've contradicted yourself. You said that Big Brother showed you right and showed your personality and the way you were depicted. Is it possible that someone appearing on these reality shows is depicted correctly but doesn't like the way the person they are?
I've said that. I absolutely am leading with that. But when it came to this version of Big Brother, you couldn't even compare the two of them. Big Brother from Channel 10 and Channel 9 compared to what they just did with Channel 7 are completely different shows. We barely got to know these housemates. We never really got to understand context very well. And I'm only sticking up for Dan because I gathered the facts. 9 times out of 10, a reality TV contestant doesn't understand their brand and they are in the wrong. And I 100% agree with that. In this particular situation,
I got the bell.
I gathered the facts.
Fight.
I finally got the power of the bell. I think you've made both good comments, and obviously it'll be an issue that we obviously revisit a lot on this show. So we thank you very much, Ben and Rob. Your mics are cut for the moment. Let's move on to the next topic. In the past few months, it has seemed that perhaps Ellen DeGeneres isn't the warm and kind person we've been led to believe. Ex-producers and guests have come out with stories of the popular talk show host being less than friendly. Now, Warner Media has initiated an investigation into alleged workplace misconduct following further stories and accusations of, wait for it, racism, unjust termination, and an overall toxic work culture. Anjali, they say never meet your heroes. Is this why it's disappointing when we see someone like this? You've been in a lot of TV sets over the years. You've worked with a lot of different people. When there's smoke, is there always fire?
Usually. I'm going to say always. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there it. Yeah, absolutely. And this one just keeps going and going and going and going. It's, you know, I don't even know how she's ever going to come back from this, even though they say that a lot of the accusations are actually leveled against three executive producers at the show, rather than Ellen herself. But then, you know, how could she not know? Plus, she herself has been embroiled in, you know, a whole bunch of this, that she's cold and she's, you know, distant and actually not funny and not nice off set, and it's all a big fat act. But yeah, I do think, you know, I've obviously interviewed lots and lots of celebrities. I had my own celebrity chat show on CNN for a long time, and sometimes it can be so disappointing to meet people that you've looked up to for so long and that you thought were just, oh my God, I'd love to interview that person and just I'd love to spend some time in their company. And then you do, and it all falls on its arse. It's so depressing. There was one time in particular that I really remember. I was really excited that I was doing my show with Kevin Spacey. And don't say anything.
No.
You know, the whole crew were super excited because, of course, you know, he's just amazing at what he does. But being amazing at what you do and being an amazing person are two very different things a lot of the time. And we ended up having a full-on fallout on the show. And it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. I felt like crushed
Anjali,
for
what,
maybe
what
3
was
days.
the fallout about? What was the fallout about?
It was, he thought that, he's one of those people who off camera, you get on fine, you get on really well. The red light goes on and bam, you're the evil journalist sent there to skewer them. Plus, he didn't want to talk about films at all. He only wanted to talk about the theatre. It's like, nobody cares, Kevin. But then I started to ask him a question about an article that had been written about him a long time ago. And he stopped me in the middle because he thought I was asking him if he was gay. Why would I care? Why would I care? That's absolutely not what I was asking. But he stopped me in the middle and said, in the words of Morgan Freeman, like the words Morgan and Freeman had never been mentioned. In the words of Morgan Freeman, darling, I'm surprised that a journalist of your caliber would care about such trivialities. I thought I was going to vomit. And he came in, it was very sinister, and we had like a proper falling out. And then I was sent to apologize to him for something I didn't ask and never would have in his trailer by his people. It was absolutely awful. So imagine my surprise when 8 years ago he came out, 8 years later he came out anyway. But it's like, it was just such a horrible experience going, you're actually not a nice person at all. And you can really feel it.
Well, Anjali, just based on that, I mean, he's been begging to come on this show, as do a lot of celebrities. Obviously,
well,
we were always going to say no to him. That's right. We were always going to say no to him, but now it is absolutely red line around it and underneath it. We've got to move on now.
Thank you, Robbo.
You're a wonderful woman. We're so excited to have you here. Now, well, if you've ever been to the central coast of New South Wales, you've probably seen Blotty the dinosaur signalling that the Australian Reptile Park is nearby with interactive shows and free roaming animals. It's always great for the kids, and they also have a very important venom program. Here to tell us more about it today is Keeper Dan. Keeper Dan, good afternoon to you.
Thank you so much for having me on. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you again. Now, Dan, can you explain to us the process of creating anti-venom, from milking a snake? Is there an udder there? Like, do you get out there and little beep, 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 beep?
It creates this weird picture, doesn't it? No. Yeah. What we do is we simply extract raw venom from the snake itself. So we restrain the snake very safely, obviously not just for us, but for the snake as well. Then we get the snake to bite onto a vial. It'll start to produce venom, of course. It's that raw venom that's later sent to Securus in Victoria, and they will turn that raw product that we extract at the park into the anti-venom product that you would get in hospital if you were bitten by one of our highly venomous snakes.
Keeper Dan, it just sounds like such a bizarre concept, milking a snake. What can you get cheese out of that? It's like venom cheese. I mean, tell me, how many snakes does your team actually milk at the park?
We have over 200, and they are all from the 5 main groups of our toxic snakes that live in Australia. So you've got death adders, coastal taipans, king browns, eastern browns, and the one I'm going to milk this morning, which is a tiger snake.
Oh, well, I tell you what, I want to know what type, is there a specific species of snake that's a better snake to milk?
They are all individually very different. So something like a taipan's got really big fangs. They're really long snakes. They're always really hard to milk because they're so active. And obviously, if you get bitten by one, it's really going to be a bad time for you. But to be honest, death adders are really difficult too because they're like short, little stumpy little snakes. And when you let them go, almost every single time you think they've bitten you. And today, tiger snakes, look, they're usually the ones that we'll use for this kind of demonstration. But in saying that, it's also usually the one that bites you. It's the one that you're more complacent with is generally the one that you get bitten by.
So, keep it down. Do snakes produce an endless amount of venom even after being milked regularly?
Yeah, so basically venom is specialised saliva. So even though I'm going to milk this snake, if it bit me after the milking, it's still going to inject venom and I'm still going to go to hospital. And it will be no different as if it bit me before. So they constantly replenish the venom yield inside their venom glands and they can produce multiple bites one after each other.
Have you ever been bitten by... Hang on a sec. Have you ever been bitten by a snake? And or how often are you bitten by a snake?
I'm just looking for some wood to touch because, to be honest, I haven't been bitten by a venomous snake. I'm 32 now, and I hope that continues. But yeah, and hopefully today and this filming isn't that day. But yeah, I've managed to get through my life without being bitten by a venomous snake. But in saying that, I've been bitten by a crocodile on the hand. I got grabbed by a big reticulated python when I used to work at another zoo. So I've had negative encounters with animals I've worked with, but never a venomous snake.
I'm pleased to say that I also have never been bitten by a venomous snake. What actually happens to the human body if somebody is bitten by one?
Well, in the case of a tiger snake today, so the venom's primarily neurotoxic, which means it affects your central nervous system and basically stops communication to your muscles. So paralysis of the muscle. So if you think of a very important muscle when you're trying to breathe, your diaphragm, no lungs, no oxygen, that's it. Game over.
Well, Keeper Dan, let's get right into it because I am thrilled and very excited to see how on earth you would milk a snake. What's the snake's name that we've got here?
This is Benji.
Benji.
And Benji's one of our little tiger snakes. So I'll bring him up so you can see. Get the camera in there.
Oh yeah, he has something in common with me.
Bad boy.
And then we
The
place him.
The name.
All right, so let's go.
Of course.
So you do that.
So we
Yep.
grab the snake behind the back of the head like that.
Oh.
Nice and safely. And then Beck will pass me a vial, our wonderful camera girl, and then we get the snake to bite the vial.
Wow.
And that's it.
Oh my God.
And how much would you get out of that, Keeper Dan?
For this type of snake, usually 2 or 3 drops, but that would be enough to kill anywhere between 2 and 3 adults.
Can I send you a list of those adults, Keeper Dan, if I ever need to?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
There
Now,
you go.
is Benji happy there?
He'll be much happier when I put him back in his enclosure, that's for sure. But we keep this process as short and as relaxing for the snake as we possibly can. Obviously, the snake is just as important to the venom program as the keepers. So, yeah, all the guys that work with these snakes here genuinely love snakes. It's not just a job. It's our passion, and we care about the snakes very deeply. Most of us have been working with snakes since we were very, very young. So, yeah, we look after these snakes, and I like to think that they look after us back.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep safe there, Keeper Dan, for goodness sake.
I will. I semi-know what I'm doing.
Yeah, of course you do.
You might not see 33.
No. Now, so for a bit of first aid advice, we hear a lot of conflicting information about what you should do if you are bitten by a snake. What should we do? Keep it down.
All right, so the most important thing if you are bitten by a snake in Australia is stay calm. I know it sounds a bit ridiculous, but in Australia, your chance of being killed by a snake is so small. Like, you're more likely to fall off the back of your chair, hit your head and die than you are to be killed by one of our venomous snakes. But the first aid treatment's really, really simple. Say you've been bitten on the wrist, you're going to mobilise that limb. That's really important. You're going to get a pressure bandage, wrap the bandage around the bite site 2 to 3 times, go down to the end of the limb, make your way back up again. When you put the bandage on, same amount of pressure that you use on a sprained wrist or ankle, get to hospital, get antivenom, you're going to live. That's simple.
Bloody brilliant. And all thanks to Benji there. Keeper Dan, that was fascinating to watch. Thank you so much. Before we let you go, though, the Reptile Park actually broke a record a few weeks ago while milking a taipan. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so our taipans, they usually pump the vial full of venom. And one of our snakes, he's notorious for it, and he broke his own record by quite a bit, actually, and got about 3.2 grams of venom in his last milking. So really good stuff. If we maximise the amount of venom we get from each individual snake, then we can milk less snakes, which for us is good. Robbo may be a bit different, but for us, that's good.
Bloody hell, I don't know what you mean by that there, Keeper Dan, but always wonderful to chat to you, sir. If we want to find out where you are, where can we go to?
Head to our Facebook page or online, reptilepark.com.au. Come and see us. We've got so many amazing animals, and you can come learn a little bit more about our anti-venom program.
It is absolutely amazing, Keeper Dan. So great to see you, and thanks again for being on the Ben, Rob and Robbo show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Anytime. Talk to you soon.
It's the red light shot of the day. Where are you going today? with the random live shot of the day.
It is time for the random live shot of the day this afternoon, and we are taking you... We're taking you to our very special camera. It took us a while to get there. This is, of course, coming from the McKnight Tonight studios. He doesn't know how to press buttons. We all know that.
Come on, I've been doing all right.
He's been, and that's what That's what we're looking for. We're looking for doing all right. Wonderful day
I'm
today.
not Amanda.
Forecast is clear with some scattered arguments. I didn't mind that. 23 degrees to 23 degrees. A lot of movement there. That's right. Oh yes, all right.
Actually, it is getting a bit hot. Here is the aircon. Here it is. I'll turn that down because Robbo likes it really, really low.
If I could cut his mic, I would, but we can't. Let's go to some feedback now. If we can do that there, Rob McKnight. And we have this from Jamie saying, welcome, Anjali. We're all very excited that she is here. Sorry.
Oh, thanks, Jamie.
Nice. We've also got Gay Wright, a big fan of mine, actually. A big fan of her, rather. Said, go, Robbo. Thank you very much for saying that to me, Gay. You've been a wonderful one. I can't work a mouse here. Oh, this is
Hit
just...
the send button.
Oh, we're on the camera. This one is from Rebecca saying, sending well wishes to Amanda. Of course we are. We absolutely are. More for Amanda here. If we can talk to Amanda. Loving it. She sent that herself? No, different last name. That's important. We've also got, if we go to Terry Lofgren, Terry's a wonderful woman, but has said nothing about me hosting the show. She's a family friend, but she says about Ben, so very true, Ben. Watch the show and look at what you said and did. Oh,
reality TV. This was about reality TV.
It had to happen to be able to be recorded. Sorry, I didn't read that before I said that to you. I do apologise. And then from Nicole, another wonderful friend of the Ben, Rob and Robbo show, and myself, OMG, Jamie suing. Really, he is not the smartest smarty in the box. There you go. That's all from feedback here today. If you've got negative feedback about the way that I'm doing anything, or the way that Rob's doing anything, you can go and get stuffed. That's the message there.
Actually, I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
I've got to say, I have to say, I really want to point out what Amanda did yesterday, because she was in a lot of pain during the show, and it was leading up to the show, and she actually kept going on. And this woman didn't use drugs having childbirth. So when she is in pain, let me tell you, she is in pain. And she ended up over on the couch there, toppled over during a couple of segments yesterday. And we knew something wasn't right. So she has gone to the hospital. She's actually getting surgery this afternoon. She is okay. Thank you for all your well wishes. I'm straight out of this. I'm going down to the hospital, hopefully to get to see her before the surgery starts. But I miss her so much. And not just for the vision switching, but, the house has been quite chaotic in the last 24 hours. We've even had Robbo here now. So that tells you how desperate we've gotten. So
it's true, but we obviously do send Amanda all of our love, and we hope that she gets better very, very, very soon. Rob, we're just going to quickly move on. We're running out of time. It's time to go now down Bruno's hole. Sorry, I do apologise. I'm sorry.
Isn't it up Bruno's hole?
Well, I don't know what it is, but we're having a good time here today. Bruno joins us live now. Bruno Boucher, good afternoon to you, sir.
Oh, there's no audio.
He's got no audio. We can't hear the Bruno.
What?
Can I just say quickly, while he's sorting that audio out, he's a very attractive man, isn't he? Look at those blue eyes. And, yeah.
We need a cold shower, you two.
I think we do. Really quickly, Anjali, let's leave Bruno to try and organise his audio for the moment. We can't wait to hear from him. But I want to ask you, Anjali, obviously, Ben, we've spoken to a lot about what it's like living in COVID-19, stage 4 lockdowns in Melbourne. How has it affected you? And you've also got kids as well. What's been your experience?
I do. I have one. He's almost 11. Thank God I have had to do a zero as far as homeschooling is concerned. I just thought I was absolutely petrified at the beginning, thinking, oh my God, I'm going to wind up with the stupidest child if I have to teach him. But he's been amazing. He just like gets up 9 o'clock. He's sitting at the table. He gets on with it until it's done. The end. He doesn't even ask me any school-related questions, which is great because I'm buggered if I know. But it has been. It's just been really. It's like just when I'm at home, it feels kind of normal, like not much change other than a bit more fattening the curve. But when I go out, it's when I go out and when you see all those everybody in masks and you've got yours on. Then it becomes the zombie apocalypse all over again. You're like, oh God, I almost forgot about this.
Yeah.
Not being able to see friends and stuff like that. That's been really rough. But I've actually been really social, much more so with friends overseas. So we do. In fact, there's my primary school, which is in Hong Kong. All of us kids in the same class are still really good friends, but we hadn't seen each other in maybe 30 years. But now we've got a Zoom group. And we catch up once a week, all around the world, all of us.
Which is a wonderful thing, the technology, because we get to catch up with a wonderful woman like you, Anjali, but also we get to catch up with, now we've sorted his audio out, it is Bruno. Bruno, good afternoon to you, my friend.
Hey, who'd have thought that there'd be no audio up or down my hole?
Yeah, I'm so sorry about. I mean, it was a slip of the tongue, if you know what I mean. This is getting a bit weird. I do apologise, Bruno. Today we're talking spoilers.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys are like me, but is there anything more annoying when you're chatting with someone and you start talking about a TV show? You're like, oh, what about in Game of Thrones, how this and that happens? And they yell in your face, oh, spoiler alert! And it'll ruin your week, right? It'll really ruin your week. So what I thought I'd do, I actually spent the past week developing some spoiler alert timing guidelines, and I'm hoping that I can use your show to launch these internationally so that the whole world agrees on the certain times that a spoiler alert is allowed to happen for. So I've created a bit of like a cool infographic, because you know how the kids like things to be a bit infographic-y with a lot of different things, right?
Yeah.
So I put that together, and all that you really have to worry about are the 3 columns, because they're the 3 different categories. So category 1, it's your big shows, right? Everyone's talking about them. I'm giving you 1 month of no spoilers, and after that, happy days. What do you reckon about that? Does that sound fair?
I think that's so good. I love this kind of idea, Bruno, because I'm still reeling from the fact that one of my brothers told me that Jack dies at the end of Titanic. That was in 1998, so I'm still pretty angry about it. But I understand.
He does? How could you do that?
Shit! I've done.
Spoiler alert!
I'm part of the problem. Part of the problem. Sorry, but what shows are we talking about, Bruno? Are we talking shows like Game of Thrones? Those kind of big shows?
They're your marquee shows. So I guess at the time, Breaking Bad. I'd even consider that perhaps recently you'd consider Billions to be a bit like that. Certainly in my group of friends, that's the big shows. So the big ones, you get 1 month to watch it. If you haven't watched it by a month's time.
Agreed there. We've just lost Bruno's audio.
Spoiler alert.
Very quickly there, unfortunately. We still
Can I just say, now that Bruno can't speak for the moment, this is absolute hogwash. Why are you looking at me like that?
Because I think Bruno is exactly right. If it's a massive marquee show, then you've got 1 month to be shielded from it. But after that, no, I don't think so. Because it's just, that's what it is. If you don't want to watch it, then look away from the spoilers. Ben, what do you think?
A month is a long time.
Can I do my point first before you always have a go at me for interrupting you? I had a
his
point, Robbo. I had a point.
Just quickly.
Welcome to the Ernie and Bert show. There you go, Anjali. Welcome.
Bruno is coming back. But Bruno, what I want to say to you, and I'm gonna let you finish. I was going to wait until the end, but we lost your audio, which is why I jumped in. But Bruno, don't you think that spoilers are timeless, that you should never give a spoiler? Because talk about it on a forum, of course, but someone may not have seen Psycho. So are we going to, decades later, is it still worth spoiling it just because we can? Why not let people have that experience?
Look, I get your point, but this is actually a freedom of speech matter. right? If I'm not allowed to express my views on hey, soldiers died protecting our freedom of speech, and if I want to talk about Psycho, I'll talk about Psycho without being told, spoiler alert, right? And that's why we have the guidelines. You know, if you really cared about Psycho, you would have seen it
correct
1 month from when it came out.
Absolutely.
I agree.
And look, I have a
Absolutely.
second category where I give you a little bit longer, and it's basically the sue from accounts tier. So it's someone whose opinion you don't really respect, and if they just say to you, oh, have you seen, I don't know, what's a weird show? Messiah. Have you seen Messiah, about the second coming of Christ? And you're like, not really, that sounds a bit lame. But you've got 6 months to go and watch that. So don't spoil that one. It's a little bit niche. You'll go off and watch it. 6 months. Do we agree with that?
Yeah,
look,
Bruno, I was just going to say the only movies that you should be allowed to spoil is pornos. Because we always know how they end.
Don't we know the ending of that one?
Oh my God.
Oh, I think
Yeah,
porno,
we do. They all
wait,
sort of end the same way.
I think porno was a trigger word there for Bruno. He has unfortunately dropped off there. If we could bring up the graphic again.
You reminded him of something better to do.
Well, I think so. But what we're going to do... well, no, he's back with us now. Bruno is back. Bruno, we're on to our third tier.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I keep on kicking this USB cord.
That's all right.
I'm doing the cross from my office today, as you can probably tell.
I love it.
The third tier is more like those weird shows that you overhear like a dumb hipster barista saying in a cafe. Like, you know, when they're trying to sound interesting to a potential mate, and they'll be like, oh, have you seen what's one that I heard the other day? Oh, this hipster was like, have you seen October Faction? It's about like these kids' parents and they hunt monsters for a secret society. Have you seen that?
No.
And it's like, no, that sounds hideous.
Yeah.
So you get 365 days spoiler-free for that one, which I think is pretty fair. Like, so here's what I need from you guys. I need you guys to agree to it so that I can launch this worldwide and say it's signed off by experts as well.
All right, well, let's quickly go around the boxes here. Benjamin, are you on board, yay or nay?
I'm on board. I think big thumbs up to you, Bruno Rocher.
I'm on board massively. This is the definitive list of what we need in this world right now. Going now to Rob. Rob, your thoughts?
Bruno, I love you, but I can't abide by...
Thank you. So that's 3 out of 3.
We've lost Rob there.
I'm going to finish this. Bruno, I think it is absolutely cool to talk about how you felt about the film, whether you liked it or not, whether you didn't like it. But why do you need to say Darth Vader is Luke's father?
Oh my God, you've done...
That's what I was going to say.
Oh no! For the deciding vote, rather, we're going to go to Anjali. Anjali, your thoughts?
No, he hasn't.
Oh yeah, I'm with you guys. Rob McKnight is all by himself. What a surprise.
Yeah, that's true. Bruno, but tell me why. Why do we need to spoil them? Why do we need to put these limits on saying that after a month you can... Why do you have to put it on Twitter that Darth Vader was Luke's dad, or what happened inside?
Because Rob, just before you said, oh well, you should still be allowed to talk about how you felt about it and etc. But the end determines how you think about it. Thus, it's up for grabs, or else.
But you
can't tell you if I can't talk about TV shows. No, but Rob, if I can't talk about TV shows with people, I have nothing to talk about. I have nothing else in my life.
You can with like-minded people who have seen those shows, or recommend these shows and why they should like them. You know,
I don't have any friends like that.
The Ben Rob and Robbo show. It's full of interesting. It's full of news with views and entertainment.
Hey, Rob
we are running out of time now. Rob, we understand you're very passionate. You're very passionate. Bruno Boucher, you're a wonderful man. Can't wait to see you next week. Thanks for joining us here.
Love you guys.
Thank you, Bruno.
Yes.
Anjali,
Hey, spoiler alert.
Of course,
we have
Anjali, we're very
time for
happy.
entertainment.
No, Anjali, we're very happy that you were
I'm
able
sorry,
to...
I was looking at the wrong clock.
Oh my God, I'm trying to do a throw here. Can you two shut the hell up?
What is happening
Anjali,
here?
Oh, it's outrageous. Anjali, we are so
Turn
grateful
Bruno's
and so
mic off.
thankful that you've been here with us today. Jesus bloody Christ, I wish you could come back instead of these two idiots.
I'm so thankful that you've allowed me to put some estrogen into this bloody sausage party. Thank you, boys.
That's very true, Anjali. You are a wonderful woman. Thank you so much. Benjamin, thank you so much. And Robert, thank you so much. We'll be back tomorrow from 1 p.m. on your social media feeds. Thank you for joining us here on the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. See you tomorrow.
Oh, okay. I did a hard switch. Oh, let's roll that closer. Where is it? There.
It's the Ben, Rob and Robbo, Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. Ben, Rob and Robbo Show.
No, the chaos is beautiful.
Do you two quickly understand?
Hey, we're still on air. We're still on air.
What's that?